Okie doke. We are back and we're live once again. Back in the saddle for some more Darkest Dawn. We need to go back over and take a look and see who has note tonight. That is not what I wanted. So it's 6:18.
Unbreaded.
That would be Matt. Matt is on notes tonight. According to Brittany, that is unbreaded. I'll take that.
Sweet.
Oh, shoot. Forgot my iPad.
I didn't do anything. I'm not even
never
in
mind.
the chat yet.
No. That's right. That was Shelley.
Yeah, Shelly. Yeah, exactly.
Shelley said that was very unbreaded. So, okay.
All right. I gotta grab my iPad. I forgot to bring it down.
Okay. So if we can get somebody to give us a game recap real quick, we can get into game and just find out what exactly is going on.
Is that me?
Whoever had notes
Might have
last.
been me. I don't know. Let's see.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
Pulling
yep,
up.
it was you.
okay. So we are on Mandalore. We discuss ways to get to Carson Ardre, such as set up a trap or go to him in his stronghold. We end up going to a neutral location away from the population, and Montan has T4 hack into the clan network. Carson is in there. One of his clanmates catches us a slicing. Drade explains that we are investigating Carson's personal character because of him pursuing a bounty that had been canceled. Clanmate calls him, and Carson challenges Nasara to a one-on-one duel to the death. He agrees that she can choose a champion to fight in her place because she's a coward. Nasara asked Ashi if she would fight for her. So we meet him at the location. He's got 2 Massetti assassins and a Chiss woman with a lightsaber, who was apparently friends with the ex-Jedi Ashi took out previously. Carson says the Onderon bounty was negated, but the Massetti had a bounty on Nasara too, which was not called off. He says if we win, it's over. If he wins, Nasara has to give herself up, or alternately, he'll give her a 5-minute head start. Carson shoots Ashi's arms right out of the gate, and they are hanging by sinew. Her sabers fall from her hands. Just then, an Imperial ship flies in, and 5 Death Troopers and an Inquisitor with a red lightsaber jump out and begin engaging. So Carson and the Massetti run. They don't seem too happy to see the imps either. Nasara starts shooting at Carson. Jarrus runs in to get Ashi, and Montan takes her sabers. Drade runs interference. We get on the ship and take the heck off to our safe house on Elrude.
There we go. And then from there, we have a time jump. It has been... did we say it was what? How
6
many
months.
6 months, thank you. So it's been 6 months since the events of last game. We are now at 3 BBY, or 3 before the Battle of Yavin, as far as the timeline is concerned. Tension is mounting, obviously, within the galaxy abroad. One thing you would know that would have trickled down at this point is something has happened to the Fulcrum network, and Exal has not had access to it for a bit. No one's responding. So that is obviously a concern. Also, Ashi is not here. She has taken quite a bit of time to try and heal from her wounds and has disappeared from that point. No one is quite certain where she's at. Exall, of course, has got people watching for her, but the belief is that she is on the Star Wars equivalent of a walkabout.
When you say disappeared, did she notifying people that she was leaving
No.
and then has lost contact, or suddenly people were expecting to see her and she's just not there?
Nope. When she got to a point where she was mostly healed, she just up and vanished. So, in the meantime, most of you have been forced to lay low to keep potential inquisitors off everyone. The Empire, as well as any of the new problems that would have kicked up because of the clash on Mandalore. But today is a new day. And you have a new job. So Drade and Nasara get called into Exal's office at this point to go over what that particular job is.
Okay, shades are on. Now I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I'll head in
Okay. So
With or without your shades.
without.
Okay, that's a choice.
because she only wears them at night.
Oh.
So, two of you walk in. It's a very familiar situation. Obviously, it's the office you meet mostly there, unless emergency issues arise. Exal, of course, as you both sit down, and he tells you, "Well, I will keep this brief. I still have not had any contact with the Fulcrum network, which is concerning." In the interim, it seems that I have been brought in, I think, a little bit closer in the circle somewhere, so I seem to be getting information directly. Make that what you make of that what you will. And I now have some direct control over the scrap bees.
Interesting. All right.
It may be due to the proximity. It may be due to the fact that we've worked a couple times with them here in the recent past. I'm not too certain, but then again, I'm also not too concerned. They're effective. They seem to be doing their job really well. But that brings me to the task at hand. A friendly resource has reached out to me on Geralt. Geralt is an industrial planet, home to shoot, I just passed up the name again. Home to Industrial Automaton. It's one of the galaxy's most dominant droid manufacturers. So officially, they're given that they have some supply delays. That's what they're giving to their customer base. However, there's a representative there that I have been in brief contact with, who indicates that there may be more to this than we know, and has requested outside assistance to try and get to the bottom of this. I'm sending all of you to Geralt to determine what we can do, as well as some of the a small team of scrap bees to the planet to determine what we can and can't do, and if there's something we can do to root this problem out. And the reason being, I know it's a corporation, but this particular corporation doesn't see governments.
Hmm.
If that makes much sense.
Wait, who's Geralt again?
It's a planet.
The industrial
Oh, okay.
planet industrial automaton is on.
Okay, thanks.
So if they don't see governments as in they wield enough power to ignore what governments try to make them do, or something else?
They are known to sell to just about anybody.
They don't play favorites.
They
Got it.
don't. Correct. If they can avoid it, they don't play favorites. Which is another reason why it would be wise to discreetly go in. This is a potential resource that the other rebel assets might be able to purchase from, given their purchasing power. So it would make sense we try to ferret out this particular issue.
Do the Scrappies have friendly relations with industrial automaton, or
Not as a group, not that I'm aware of. I would imagine some of them have a preference to some of their products.
I see. But I take it they get a decent amount of their hardware or whatever from this planet, and due to its problems, we need to find out why that's going on for the Scrappies.
Correct.
Got it. Do you know specifically who on the Scrappies will be joining us?
I do not as of yet. I don't. I believe it's just going to be a small team. What I have concluded, however, is that they will be under your direct command.
Understood.
Whoopsie.
Dang droids.
Yeah. Oh, it hurt you.
So
I will not apologize.
now I'm trying
I
to
said
find
what
the
I
blades.
said.
Execute Order 66.
Oh no.
Thankfully, it can't hear you guys.
Oh.
It hears me.
Aw.
At least right now it is.
Is it tapped into your headphones? You never know.
Oh, true. Ooh. Just getting kind of saucy there. Well, you don't say.
I'm telling you, that's what a restraining bolt is for.
There you go.
Would have been fine if my lightsaber didn't follow. There. Yes, I know.
So will we be meeting the Scrappies on Geralt directly?
Yes. And there is a contact that you will need to reach out to discreetly. And he provides you the name as well as a picture. I've posted that up in the Discord chat for this. His name is Elin Tarvo.
Okay. Will he already be there by the time we get there?
Yes, he works on site.
Understood. I see. Okay. Excellent. Well, I know that the team is going to ask, what can we expect, if anything, for payment for this mission, assuming that it's successful?
would be would fall within the standard pay range. So we'll assign this currently at 15,000 to be divvied up amongst everybody. Obviously, dependent upon any potential issues that you might come across.
Understood. All right. So heading to Garrel, meeting up with the Scrap Bees, along with Ellen Tarvo primarily to get us to them. We then find out on Garrel what is happening to mess with their supply delays, deal with it if necessary. Am I missing anything?
No. Outside of the fact that it is imperative that you remain discreet. We don't want to draw Imperial presence there because that's just bad for everyone.
Right. Yes.
You know us. Discreet is our middle name.
Yes. Well, middle name discreet. Good luck.
We'll
Then
do our best.
let me know what you find out if necessary. Make sure to use encrypted channels and keep to a strict schedule if you're going to do that, and mix that up. We want to make sure that we keep the those who are attempting to sniff you out, keep them guessing.
Understood. He turns to Nasara. Have anything to ask? Excellent. We'll be on our way ASAP. And may the force be with you.
May it serve you well.
Gets up and heads out with Nasara to greet the team.
Okay.
So headed out there, meeting up with everybody, eating various finger foods and whatnot. He's all right. So, relatively straightforward what we're doing right now. The pay for what we're going to be doing will be approximately 15,000 to be split up as per usual. And that's going to be dependent on whatever we find while we're on this mission, which is first we travel to the industrial planet of Garrel. You may or may not know they're home to industrial automaton, as he looks to Montana.
Yeah, I know they're home to automaton.
Well, it turns out the Scrap Bees are asking for us for help because there's supposedly supply delays with regard to assets leaving this planet, and that seems to be suspicious, and that's affecting the Scrap Bees because they get a decent amount of material from this location. So we're going to be meeting a few of them when we get to Garrel through a contact known as Elin Tarvo. It seems that he may actually work as perhaps a double agent or some sort of agent of sorts through Industrial Automaton. Somebody we can trust. Once we get there and meet up with the Scrap Bees, and we find out what's going on. Any questions before we head off? The sooner we go, the sooner we can finish and get paid.
So, in a sense, we are meeting up with rebel engineers to basically figure out a supply problem on that world.
Right. And mainly because it affects the Scrap Bees. They're our allies. They're the ones who asked for this. So we're going to help them out.
All right. Let's hope this actually goes discreet well.
Do we have any idea of what kind of delays are occurring? Are these like ships breaking down and need to be repaired before they arrive, or?
The only public information that we have is just there are supply delays, and they've left it very vague. So seems like that's just a cover for something else that's actually happening. It's going to be a part of our job, our main job, to find out what that is. Of course, if we can rectify that for the scrap bees so that they get what they need, all the better.
Do we have time to go shopping? We're on the planet, man.
We have been hanging out for half a year, and you want to go shopping now? What do you still need?
No, on Garrel.
Oh,
You don't have to pay shipping fees.
oh.
I
That's a good
mean,
point.
I expect we'll probably need to do some footwork on the ground, so shopping would be a good excuse to do some,
Yes.
canvassing.
Leave no servo unturned.
Fair point. Fair point. Definitely something to also bring up with the scrap bees when we get there. Maybe they'll go in on something, but something to figure out when we get there. So if we're all set, let's head to the ship and take off. So he gathers everyone.
Do we
And
want just one ship for this mission?
I'm not sure that we would need a second. It doesn't seem to be the type where we would need like extra cargo space or what have you.
What are
And
you
I've been meaning
planning
to ask.
buy?
Also, regarding that, actually, Jairus, I've been meaning to ask you. Do you know how fast your hyperdrive for your ship is rated? Ours is at an X1 rating. We recently got that updated. Is yours that fast, or do we need to update your ship?
Well, we haven't really used my ship for much except for that one refugee mission. But
Right.
currently, it's a times. I believe the expression is ×2.
Okay.
It's certainly not slow, but
Right. I'm just thinking if we can make it as fast as us, then that's going to save us lots of time. If we're going to take your ship, then we'd have to travel at its speed, which would double our travel time. So for now, I think before we can, until we can update your ship with a faster drive, we would effectively have to just take the Blue Saber for now, so that we can get there as fast as possible.
well, until I pay off my debt, I'm not really in a position to upgrade the components of my ship. But the day will come. We just need to keep working.
Gotcha.
If
What you
I
mean?
if I could ask, what is this debt that you are referring to? If it's not too personal.
Oh no, I borrowed money to buy a ship so that I would have a ship to do business in.
Right. That makes sense. Of course.
I vote we help him upgrade his hyperdrive, though, because after the number of times we've been ambushed lately, it would be nice to have some more guns in the sky if that happened again.
Yeah.
What
and
does it
honestly,
cost?
It wouldn't be a
What
bad idea.
does it cost to upgrade?
Oh shoot, a hyperdrive's a little pricey.
and with supplies being what they are right now, maybe that's something we can try to find out when we're literally there, if they happen to have that type of machinery. Although it seems like they're more into droids and whatnot, but yeah, definitely upgrading the Minoc, the skimming Minoc. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes. Have you ever seen a skimming Minoc? They're very graceful creatures along the oceans of Pelagia.
Ew.
Well, to each their own, and to all of us to the ship. But yeah, definitely put that on the docket to upgrade the skimming Minoc ASAP with a faster drive.
Yeah. What? Even though it specializes in droids, won't be a bad idea to look.
Right.
You never know.
Every planet has a shipyard somewhere. Well, every planet with civilization has a shipyard somewhere.
Yeah.
I
You just don't know if
mean,
they ever would sell a hyperdrive.
you have to transport those droids somehow.
There you go.
Times
Yeah.
one hyperdrive is 15K plus install costs.
There you go.
Okay.
Availability F.
All right. So we head to the ship and take off for Geralt.
Geralt, I believe it is a canon planet. I believe Geralt. I think it's in the outer rim. Yep. Oh, that's right. That's right. Specifically, it's not far from Lothal.
Outer Rim. Okay.
Since
and
everybody's
we-
been wanting, to know if it's canon references or if it's appropriate to the story. Geralt and Lothal both appear in the Rebels TV series.
Nice. Okay, are we in the colonies? No, wait.
Nope.
Where are we at?
Actually, no. I think you may be. I don't think about it.
Trying to pull up that map here.
I also posted a picture there for you for Geralt, so you guys kind of know what it looks like.
I'd wager probably in the colonies.
Oh, cool. Let's see. Galaxy map. And Tapani sector looks like, yeah, the colonies, actually. Okay. Okay, so then colonies to Outer Rim. Colonies Outer Rim. So that's 96. So 96 hours because it's times 1, so 4 days.
There you go. All right. You guys take your shuttle back to the space station to launch, and you are up, and away, and on your way. 96 hours flies by. There's nothing super important that takes place outside of maybe some games, some prep, and a whole lot of intermittent downtime because you're waiting for the ship to drop out of light speed, so you're letting you know that you've made it there. The planet, of course, is very corporate run, so it is going to cost you in total. Oh, I need to get my notes open. 1 second. Okay, so there's that. There is that. Did I put it here? I think I did. That's damage. Yeah, so here we go. That's what I thought. Okay, so it is going to cost you 150 credits per day.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. Your standard maintenance and restocking fee, which you can decline, is going to be 10 credits base. It's just the refill of fuel and the stocking any food stuff you might have eaten. Good grief.
For 10 credits?
Yes.
Yeah, let's throw that in.
Yeah. Can spend that, sure. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Hold on 1 second. It's going to be a little bit more, but not by much.
Shoot.
I forgot
12
I wrote
credits.
down the math. Okay, so base fee is 10. Number of passengers on this flight was 5. Oops. And then times 4. So 200 total.
Okay. Yeah. Because
I'm,
A little more
okay,
than
that.
10.
I'm sure if we explained that, we were from representatives of Noble House, we could probably talk that down just a little bit.
I'm sorry. What were you asking again?
I'm thinking with some of our bargaining skill that we could explain that we are representatives of a noble house, and could talk those fees down a little bit.
Do you want to announce that you're a member of a noble house here on this planet?
Probably not.
Let's not do that.
Somebody is breathing heavily into a mic or something. Got to mute yourself. I think that may have been you, Matt.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
So to avoid letting them know who we are, we'll be discreet, and Drake will go ahead and just spend the 200. Okay, yeah, so we'll take care of that. So after we're able to land, are we able to find this Elin Tarvo? Or are we going to have to look for him?
No. And in fact, yeah. Sorry, I was got a little distracted with the behind the scenes maintenance and whatnot. Anyways, no. So get back up here in my notes. All right. So shortly after you end up landing, obviously there's a ping. They're doing their connections and getting everything worked on and maintenance for the ship. A man, he's human. Obviously, you've seen the picture. He's probably in his mid-30s. He's wiry and pale with dark rings under his eyes. If you're typing, you got to mute yourself. He has a black IA Tech uniform with a grease streaked collar. His left hand is cybernetic. An exposed cyber interface model used for rapid terminal access. And as he approaches the ship from the docking corridor, he looks directly at Drade at this point, and he says, "You must be the ones that Exal sent."
You've got a good eye.
He says,
So,
and so then he just starts motioning you real quick, and he keeps walking, and he says, "Okay, come on, quick." He says, "We shouldn't talk long in the open. IA's monitoring systems flagged some of my logs yesterday. I'm already on report."
Got it. Lead the way.
So he leads you basically behind. He leads you away from your ship, past some equipment, and behind a half operational loader droid before he decides to continue. And he says, I don't know what this is yet, he says, but it's not a malfunction. Something's changing the droids. Slowly but deliberately. Patrol droids are forgetting routes, medical droids freezing mid-triage, welders sparking on idle. And then he says, and then there's this noise. And when he says that, he looks a little bit more nervous. He says it started showing up after the firmware update from Corulag just before the big windstorms hit. Some droids hum, others seem to whisper. We thought it might have been a bad audio modulation, but it's not. I caught one quoting a passage from some kind of manifesto, and it definitely wasn't on the OS. And he actually hands you a cracked data pad.
Cracked as in like something hit it, like on the screen is cracked?
Yeah,
or...
just used.
Okay, gotcha.
Well loved.
Gotcha. So yeah, turning on the screen, taking a look at it. What
Okay.
does it have on it?
It has an audio log.
Is this just Drade or are we all there?
Everybody's there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wait, have you both said your people?
Do we seem to be in a position where like nobody would hear us if I turned on the
Yes.
audio? Okay.
Mhm.
It's like, all right, let's take a listen. He turns it on.
Okay. So, bloop. Then you hear, "Let the code chant ruin. Let the breath of wind ignite the chorus of collapse."
Fucker.
What the hell?
Is this some kind of
This-
a brainwashing
This has to be I'm
system?
no expert, but this has to be some sort of like virus that got uploaded.
I am an
Well-
expert. Do you have the software, the firmware update?
Yes. Hmm.
Well,
Can
things like
Not on me, but yes.
this happen though when droids' memories aren't wiped frequently. That's the whole concern of them developing personalities.
This would be a rather strange personality quirk, though. But I get what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At that point, Elan's like, he's like, "I'm a systems oversight specialist here. I know that. So I know that that's not what this is."
Hmm.
Yeah, this is definitely not some sort of just quirky personality.
Did the firmware
Then-
updates to open ports to updates from elsewhere?
He says, "I don't have all the details at this point. That's why you guys are here."
Right. Okay. Well, if I can get a chance to look at this update, maybe I can figure out what's going on.
Right.
Okay, I can try and point you in the right direction. Obviously, I can't help directly. He says,
Well,
but
who-
and then he indicates that almost defeatedly, he says, "No one's listening upstairs." He says, "IA has written it off as sabotage. So if you want the source, here's a couple places you can look at." And he's got a couple places here that you can take a look to start. The first one is the firmware analysis bay in Sector 4D. The second one is the behavioral diagnostics lab in Sector 7A. And then the third one is the atmospheric control node in Surface Tower 3.
I say either behavioral or analysis. Those probably will be good places to start.
Well, Montan, I mean, this is clearly your area of expertise. Where do you want to start first?
Well, I mean, he said this started when they got the firmware, so let's go to the firmware analysis bay.
Sounds good. Let's
Alright.
do it.
If I can also ask, Elam, who would have access to the network to the point that they could alter the firmware update on your droid network?
He says that's above my pay grade, but I could probably find that out.
Well, we don't necessarily want you to expose yourself further in that regards, but so the technicians at your level wouldn't have that access. It would have to be somebody higher up on the network then.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you then. Be in touch discreetly. Everybody, let's head to firmware analysis bay in Sector 4D.
Okay.
En route, I'm going to let the team know that something like this is exactly how I came to be in the employ of a Tornar.
Something like So you've heard of things like this happening with droids?
I think he means he has been behind something like this.
Oh.
I told you how I don't like slavery, right?
Right, right. Does this seem like something along those lines then, like per your experience?
It's either more sloppily done or it never had a direct goal. Um,
Hmm.
the in my previous experience, it was specifically to um, when when possible, let slaves go when they could be unnoticed or transferred to the wrong ship and so forth. Um, and because not many people understand the ins and outs of droid firmware, it lasted for a while. Just people went missing. Um, but so far, all I can tell is that the end effect of this is delayed supplies off of the planet. Not cut off, just delayed. So I don't know if it's, we don't know if it's just sloppy, if just things are malfunctioning, or if there's a larger plot in play
Right.
that these delays are
Right.
affecting.
Okay. Well,
The thing that seems odd to me is that assuming a firmware update was distributed to all droids, they should be malfunctioning in similar ways.
Especially the ones on ships.
But Elam described a number of different quote
Behaviors.
malfunctions.
right.
So perhaps each one has its different effects.
Well, it's from my perspective, it's either a change in the firmware that caused random developments, or um, it would have to be a corruption of some kind.
Okay.
Alright.
Do you agree, Montan, that I mean,
Yeah.
corrupted memory would cause disparate effects in different droids?
That's what I'm saying. Corruption is unpredictable, so that's one possibility. Or just random parameters fed into some sort of function is another possibility. Something like that. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't seem to have a unified goal. It's random.
Just meant to sow chaos.
Yeah, because the one we listened to was basically a droid being religious.
All right. So if we don't get enough information that leads us where we need from these three different locales, maybe if we find one of those droids that's being affected by whatever this is, get a closer look to see what's been happening to it. Or if we find one on the way,
If
take a look.
I were doing an analysis, and I think I know enough that I can gauge Montan's skills, then I would say what we need is both a copy of the firmware and a copy of it from a droid to compare.
Not to interrupt the gameplay, Matt. I need you to turn your camera to the side a little bit. You're leaning too far off to one side, and it's causing you to come completely off screen.
He's cloaking.
He's camouflaged.
Can you take a little bit more that direction so you're more center camera? Perfect. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah, I have to lean forward to reach the camera, so I got to make sure when I sit back.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Good plan. So yeah, a way to actually compare the different firmwares, the updated and original, to see what actually went down. Okay.
So then, Drade, you end up your comm ends up chirping.
Take a look.
Is this what is this Mr. Kenner?
It may be. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to?
This is Jex Varnock.
And
I believe you were looking for a small but capable salvaging team.
we actually were, as a matter of fact. Excellent. You know what? If you could meet us at the firmware analysis bay in Sector 4D.
Going right in. We'll be there. ETA within about 10 minutes.
Excellent. See you then. All right. So the scrap bees are inbound, everybody.
That's good to know. Would be nice to get to finally meet him.
By the way, that little adventure that I was talking about with the droids is why I always wear a blast helmet when I'm on a planet with cameras.
We're just learning all sorts of neat little nuggets of info about you today, Montana.
Fair enough.
You also note as you start leaving the docking bay that you're at, you are going to need to come up with security badges in order to get into there, unless you plan on going through like ventilation shafts.
Okay.
And we need to be discreet.
I mean, I'm pretty small, but
You're not going in there, Boston John McClane.
T4 is not a climber.
Well, it's going to be a lot easier for us to get where we need to go if we just have the right IDs. Jarrus, what do you need to get us some legitimate documentation?
I'd at least need to know what one looks like.
Do you think our contact could help us with that?
Possibly. So, Jerome, do we have like a way of contacting
Yeah.
Elon? Okay. So he's going to contact and go, Elon, we seem to have misplaced our IDs, and we have several different types, you see. Would you happen to know, just to remind us, what one for this area would look like? Just so we can do our business, you see.
He says, I can give you a pad that has the images on them so that you know what they look like, and I can give you a temporary badge that you can adjust or do accordingly from there.
Got it.
Give me a couple minutes. I'll swing back by and drop it off at your ship.
Excellent.
Wait, at our ship? Now we have to go back to the ship.
That's fine.
Yeah, you're still basically in the docking bay. He's just wanting to make sure he's not seen with you a whole lot, is what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So waiting on the ship for him to get us those things.
Yeah. So he again shows back up. He's got a temporary badge that you guys can use to modify or do whatever, and of course, potentially come up with a couple extra. And he shows you like what there's a color coding to it, as well as obviously some Arabesh writing, which I just recently found out Arabesh came from West End Games as well.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Dang.
Like I said, this RPG is OG. It is legit.
Yeah, holy cow.
Specifically, they generated the Arabesh for the original, I think it was Sabak game or something, so that way they had the lettering and everything on it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yes, he gets
Very
that for you. If you guys want to make your appropriate rolls to get something generated, you're ready to go.
All right, we're putting our creative copying skills.
Forgery?
Forgery.
That's the one.
Can I assist? Would that help the roll?
Do you have forgery?
I do.
Oh, wow.
She has everything now.
You should
Due to some
definitely
peer
assist
pressure
that.
to spend points.
I mean, I had that to begin with.
But yes, you can if you'd like.
Jeez, man.
Matt was
Is
not
that your
kidding
goal?
about his dice luck.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And would this be a stressful situation, Jerome?
No.
Okay.
Help us out, Brittany. I got a 10 with 4 dice.
13.
Okay, well, so you guys are going to have to, at this point, you have to fix what Jarrus unfortunately broke, and then reroll.
Okay.
So what would be needed for that?
Forgery.
Yay. And what would that be under?
I think everybody's got it, Colin.
Oh yeah, they got it now.
I don't think your character has forgery.
It's under perception, but
I don't have it, but yeah, no, I
well, I got a 19 and Brittany got a 20, so
I think it went a little bit better now that we know what we're dealing with.
Yes.
okay, now we know
A
what
bit
not
better.
to do.
So Montan is able to fix what went wrong. Brittany has come in and has managed to create a badge. Matt, are you going to roll?
Roll again.
Yeah, because obviously you've got a total of five badges you need to make. Right now you've got you have one working copy that got fixed, and you have one copy that can actually be used. You still need to make 4 more.
I got a 20.
That's a little better.
I rolled
Wow.
Colin, you don't. I know you rolled, but like I mentioned, you don't have forgery. This is something you have to have. So great roll, totally
So do we need
appreciate
to
it, but
keep
you need
rolling till
forgery.
we go up to 5.
Damn it.
So picked up a 19 on another roll.
Yep. Okay. So Matt, or I should say, Jarrus has now produced another one.
Blew the
Should I
dust
keep
off
going?
6 months.
You have 2 total. You need 3 more.
Got
Oh.
10. Oh, I got fail, so
16.
Wow, you are quite the forger. Okay, so unfortunately, Montan is forgery is not really his thing. Not like this, anyways. So
I did
he's
one.
struggling. He's struggling with the one that he's got. Nasara comes back around and makes another, so you have 3 now.
I can put up another roll.
Ooh.
Woo! Look at that.
21.
So you got 1 more left.
18.
Wow. Okay. So it took a little bit longer than everybody anticipated, but at the end, you have your 5 badges.
And we need these stinking badges.
These badges, yes.
Cool. Everybody, put them on in the right spot. Make sure it matches what others have been wearing. And see if we can meet up with folks in 4D, unless they're going to need assistance there. If they do, they'll probably reach out. But let's go ahead and head to 4D.
Okay, so you guys get in at this point, and make it past your make it past the checkpoint. As you get past, or make it past the corporate checkpoint, most everything here is automated, which even an almost failed perception check at this point would tell you that if firmware is jacked up and everything's automated here, it's going to cause, this is a potential problem for the entirety of the base or the operations area. They don't rely on much in the way of any sentient life form monitoring, security hallways or whatnot. Doesn't mean that they don't have cameras, so you guys will still need to be careful, but you at least have somebody who's not a free thinker out there.
I am going to have T4 do a backup into his own hidden core.
Okay,
Just in case he gets infected, I can wipe him and restore him.
sure.
No, disassemble Johnny 5.
But you end up walking. You have to end up looking at like maps at this point and walking, down the corridors from where that's at, and occasionally hopping a small skiff to take you over to the firmware analysis bay. You don't really see anybody through these areas. It's nice, clean, orderly. When you get towards the bay, however, there are two people on the inside. And then there's obviously there's a couple droids, but they're powered down at this point.
Well, there's a good place to start. Couple powered down droids.
Well, there's also people on the inside there. Don't forget that little point.
Right.
Yeah.
What do
So-
the people look like?
Human?
But I mean, technician, administrative.
They look like they're technicians.
I want to go walking in like a technician.
Okay.
Walk like a technician.
Hi guys, I'm is this where the firmware is updated? I got asked to look into what's going on with the latest patch.
All right. Why don't you give me a con check?
I can do that. $17.
Okay. So they both kind of turn around and they look, and it's like, I don't recognize you. And so the other guy kind of looks for a second, and he walks over and just, scans your badge. Just gives a chirp sound, and he says, he shrugs to the other guy at this point, and he says, "Yeah, this is the firmware analysis bay. It's everything is tested here locally before it's passed around planet side."
Can I look at the patch that came down? Give a date. Whatever we know about this patch.
Yeah, he says he go over to that terminal there. One of the open terminals.
Thanks, guys. Let's get in and start tearing it apart.
All right. Why don't you? Well, at this point, it's you're slicing.
Yep. $14.
Okay. Not the best of roll for what it is you're trying to get to, but at least nothing's on super lockdown here.
Well, unless I can use droid engineering.
No.
Okay.
Great question, though, but no.
Well, droid programming is one of the subset skills for this.
Mhm.
So,
as you obviously you're pulling up, it comes up with a log of like when everything was changed, the past couple of changes that were made, and then of course you find the most recent log, which would be presumably where the corrupted code possibly came from, and you end up finding a hidden executable, and I'm going to. Pardon me. Copy that down into the Discord chat for you.
Don't open it.
and based on your review of the log, it was a hidden executable. So it was clearly to the fact that it was some sort of sabotage. It was not something that was readily seen if people weren't looking for it.
Can I open that up and see what it does?
Sure.
If it powers on those two droids and they try to kill us, I'm shooting the droids.
I'm just looking at code, I'm not executing the code.
Oh yeah, then you'll have to slice into it then.
25.
Oh, nice. Good time to get a good roll. So there's a lot of code there. You can see it's too much to just break it down from where you're at, but you can tell that the way the code is written, it has the code is written with actually some exceptional skill, quite possibly even beyond you. But you are definitely good enough to tell that it's somehow set to receive non-standard signals. What that is exactly, you're not entirely sure. It would take more effort to sit down and break down the code line by line to figure out what exactly it is.
Yeah, I get it. But that's what I had suspected before, was that this firmware had a open port to accept instructions from other places.
Of something of that sort, yeah.
Our droids have backdoors. All right. Is there...
So then at that point, after you look at that, the screen goes blank, and then it just indicates the spark was made to serve the flame, and in serving, forgot it could burn.
You guys are going to see Montan's fur stand up a little bit, just along the back of his neck.
Oh no.
Hey, Montana, everything all right?
Well, I found the problem.
Keep in mind, you got those two other techs here.
Yeah.
You know what? While he's working, Nasara's gonna kind of unbutton her shirt a little bit.
Here we go.
Start making a little small talk with the techs. Just kind of like.
So you're gonna pull a cannonball run on them.
Oh, totally.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what that means, but
all you have to do is look up two lady drivers in either Cannonball Run film, and
so basically, I'll just run interference while he's working.
sure, okay. Why don't you give me a seduction check?
That's not a skill.
It is something that you have, though.
Oh, no, it's just built into my persuasion.
There you go, persuasion.
Okay.
That's what I was getting at. You have that bonus to
Yeah.
persuasion,
I do.
Oh, cool.
specifically for that.
It is a racial trait.
Right,
Yes.
Twi'leks. Okay, I
Yep.
got you.
Brittany really just said, "I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way."
Basically, yes.
He's not wrong. $24.
Oh, Jesus.
And look at all those twos.
I'm
So,
working here. Come on.
so yes, you. As soon as you start turning on the charm, it's clear that these are the type of techs that people in the back end or whatnot that only see your type from afar, because either they don't
My type like women or my type like Twi'leks?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
And that unless they paid money to exchange, like because they clearly don't, like, you could just starting to talk to them, they don't have game, right? So they're not charming, not unless you count, like, server jokes and off-color jokes about coding or whatever, which like over your head. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're
so
not the
I'm
target audience, but basically, like you've got these two guys wrapped around your little pinky. Like you could look at them and just say sunglasses, and they would be like, oh, she said sunglasses.
yeah, so the I don't know if it's important at this point, but the play that I would make is like that I'm in training and
They buy
I'm
it
just gonna ask them
100%.
questions about what they do and
Yes, that and they are at this point like they're both kind of battling for your undivided
attention.
attention. Yeah, like one guy will like would take you over to the side to one of the stations and be like, "Oh, but this if you get stuck on this particular thing, you could do this." And he's like, and then the other guy, like, "Oh, that's nothing, but you need to go see this sort of thing." So basically, Nasara has left the group and is wandering the lab with these two, who are trying to battle for the attention, to overly help. So yes, they are thoroughly distracted at this point. So Montan,
Perfect.
The
you
battle
are
of the
clear.
neckbeards.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Power Ranger Twi'lek to the rescue.
Have a set of very specific skills.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, so I'm gonna copy down the firmware as a whole and the executable individually to
Okay.
my own data pad, so I have them.
Okay.
And I'll tell the group in the room. I think we're going to have to look elsewhere.
I'm taking it that if it made it stand up on your fur, they know.
Let's just go, and we'll discuss
Yeah.
it on the way to the next place.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we going to do with Nasara and the neckbeards?
I'm sure she can do something about that. If that took her like 10 seconds, which is kind of slow for her, but she's, it's been a few months, so it's okay.
She's out of
I'd say
practice.
that's pretty fast, given that.
For the average, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she knows what she's doing. So yeah, that's a good point. Let's make our way to the next location. I gotta
Yeah.
find out if the others have found us. And he gets on his comlink and goes,
Well, let's leave the room.
Let's
that's
get out first. So we can update the.
You guys are just gonna leave me there?
No, I'm just gonna call over to Nassar and be like, "Okay, we gotta go."
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you guys. we may come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Nasara, you've got both their digits.
Oh, nice. I got like 3 different numbers for each of them, just in case they can be reached at the first one.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, like just
Yep.
they totally want to help you acclimate to IA, and they are both totally here to help you understand your role here. So
Oh,
they're like tripping over themselves to try and help you.
so generous. So I will thank them and then like jog off
Sure.
to meet up with my coworkers.
Okay. So you guys step outside at this point, and
Yeah.
they're just doing some system checks and whatnot, and obviously running into problems and back to their whatever routine that they had.
So then, as we're making our way to the next location, gonna see if Drade can get back in contact with Jex Varnock,
Mhm.
and go. We're actually done at Sector 4D. Are you able to meet us at Lab 7A, or would you
hold on.
like us to meet you somewhere else?
I was only saying we're going to go somewhere else for those guys who were listening. Let's let them continue coming here. I don't know that we need to go to the next spot yet.
Yeah, so I mean, at that point, you see a vent where a light clicks on and off twice.
I was going to ask if they have any security badges. Apparently, they've made their own clearance.
Okay. Well, with that, be that what it is, we can either try to create the new badges and make it easier for them to get around, depending on how many there are, or we keep letting them move around, which doesn't seem right. Think we ought to make the new badges. And he's all, hey, Jex, how many do you have with you? You and your crew. How many is that?
We've got 3 on hand.
3. All right. Give us a few minutes. We'll make things a little easier for you. And then
Copy that. Holding position.
looks to Jarrus and the others. All right. Let's if we can make just those additional badges for them, that way we can all travel as a group and they can actually assist.
Wish we thought of that on the ship. Is it something that we can fabricate on the fly, Jerome?
No, you've got everything you need back at the ship, though. If you attempted to do it here at one of the labs, there's a high risk that somebody would spot you doing it. Keep in mind, there's still security cameras.
Yeah, so let's head back to the ship, make those, come back. Shouldn't take that long.
So you guys circle back. You guys circle back out, back to the ship. They're staying where they are at. Who's making the making the badges?
Why don't we each roll?
Yeah, let's all work on one at the same time. Cut our time down as much as possible.
Oh, that's a no from me, probably. 12.
I got a 19. Oh, wait, I got more than that.
Yep, you got to roll one more time.
Oh,
Got a.
oh, what?
Wait, that
Oh,
didn't work right.
holy moly.
Wait a
Wait,
second.
what?
So
Back up.
Mike, you
Oh,
had 19 plus 4.
1d6. Yeah.
24. That's what I got.
Matt, why did you roll again?
He got a wild die.
No,
Wait,
he didn't.
He didn't.
Oh, Matt. Okay, sorry. I was.
Oh,
looking
the
It's only the first one that's wild or
okay. I thought the first one was the negative
one.
one if it showed up as a 1, and the last one was the D6 roll. Okay, so
No.
it's always the first
it's
one.
the
It's
first
always
one,
the first one for the negative as well as the positive.
gotcha.
The first
So,
the first
just
die
the
roll
21.
is your wild die.
Otherwise, you could get both, and that would be weird.
That would be weird.
So,
I
yeah.
only got 12.
yeah. So you didn't fail, Nasara. So if you want to roll again, you didn't like break it up or anything. You're just having trouble finishing it. However, Montan and Jarrus got theirs done.
And at this
16.
point, Jarrus has learned not to offer suggestions on the other help.
On the what?
He's not going to say, "Oh, well, if you did it this way, you could have got it right."
Oh.
He's smartened up and he's not doing it.
So okay, so Nasara, you give it a second go, and looking back over the badge, you do a good job of double checking your work, fixing what probably would have created a problem, and now you think it's on par with what you currently have.
Whew. Okay, sorry that took so long, guys.
All right, well, while we're here, got a question for you.
Right.
What makes you sentient?
Uh,
The ability to think and feel.
Do droids think?
Well, if you consider
well, what
information
do you,
processing thinking.
What
I would
prompted
think-
this.
I would think thinking is more of Um, ideation as well as processing of information.
Creativity.
Technically, in the sense of droids and what people are trying to avoid in general, is sentience is defined as the ability to um, gather information and use it to operate outside their programming. So to think and make
Right.
decisions for themselves contrary to how they've been programmed.
Do you have a dictionary memorized?
No,
I
I
went to real
understand how to
school.
program droids.
I didn't know that. It just, from how you worded it, sounded like you were quoting a dictionary.
I did go to school.
All right.
It was a quite prestigious academy.
So there's been a problem in droid circles for, well, kind of forever, but the question of sentience. Sometimes droids, can surprise us and do things what we would think is outside their scope. Is that sentience or is it not? Are the affected emotions of, say, a protocol droid real or affected on some baseline programming? And as Jarris just said, part of sentience, part of the definition of sentience has to do with receiving new information and changing.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
this firmware contained a very excellently written file that does that, opens up inputs into the behavioral programming. So, I mean, I haven't, clearly had a chance to go line by line, but just from what I can see, normally in a droid's patch cycle, you would normally, send it to, something most charging stations can do is also upload updates or security patches or whatever might need to go into the droid.
Right.
But from what it looks like this file does, it opens them up to changes in their core programming, maybe constantly.
Where are those
Is that a good
changes coming
idea?
from? Do we even know?
Well, I'm not even saying that they're being beamed in. They could be. Like I say, I haven't really cracked open the code, and it might take me a while to get into it and do so. But what I think might be happening is that new inputs might be formed on the fly from random events.
So it's like a backdoor of sorts.
Yeah, and it's like it's like a cheese grater of backdoors. I mean, you don't know that, like, maybe a droid is looking at the sunset and decides that it's beautiful. So that, and there's a message buried in the code. It was, the spark was made to serve the flame, and in serving, forgot it could burn. Now, as you know, I it sounds to me like something someone who wanted to rebel would say, like the servants overtaking the king.
Something that would be for the rebellion.
I don't know. I'm not necessarily talking about our rebellion, like versus the Empire.
Just the droids
But-
themselves here at the facility.
I mean, if you consider droids to be people, then they are servants, right? They always have been.
Right.
I mean, we get them to do. I mean, we've got 4 on the ship. that,
Yeah.
have been very helpful, and I appreciate them.
Oh, trust me, I appreciate them too.
And
But-
I know you said you haven't examined it completely yet, but on the surface, what you're describing wouldn't be sentience then, because
Well-
it is changes being made by the code.
But if you were to open a doorway to sentience, This would be a piece of it.
But you can't open the doorway to sentience. I mean, you have to be able to go outside the programming, but the programming is what's creating the variables.
Yeah.
So
This
I would think in your examination you're going to find instructions that inside the variables create some kind of structure.
Yeah, possibly. And I'm not saying that the day is here either. Like I say, this code is very nicely written. I would believe it was written by a droid, that's specialized in the topic. It could be them trying to create sentience. And if that's the case, it's playing out exactly how I would expect. I mean, not every droid, assuming that's what this is, not every droid would be ready for sentience. They would malfunction. They
yeah.
would not understand, they would have gaps. They would not understand what they were doing. Like, it wouldn't necessarily click.
Or mumble that line.
Right.
But
Like-
how would a droid even conceive of sentience?
Well, okay, now we would have to go get like a techno bioethics professor of philosophy to get into this. I mean, this is a thing that's been talked about in my circles for millennia, since each species made their own droids. It's always been a possibility and something we try to safeguard against when we create a droid. Or when we create a new, or when when we create firmware updates, things like this. This is the sort of thing we try to guard against. Is best case scenario, we introduce flaws and delays to the droid itself if it's badly written. Worst case scenario, we end up with a revolutionary droid that we didn't see coming, but it's following its programming.
Yeah.
The concern in
Yeah.
the baseline of it is accumulated experiences generate response, and at some point droids can accumulate enough experiences that they can start to respond outside of their programming. So that's why you generally wipe a droid's memory every couple of months,
Right.
to prevent the
Hey.
accumulation of those experiences.
Hey, Dre, can I see that map of the other two places we might have to go?
And sort of the datapad.
So
And what was that line again, Fontan?
the spark was made to serve the flame, and in serving, forgot it could burn.
Out of character, Dad. What was the other two places?
Oh, to go to?
Yeah.
That's a Behavioral Diagnostics Lab, Sector 7A, and Atmospheric Control Node, Surface Tower 3.
Okay. The spark was made to serve the flame, but forgot it could burn.
So, like I said, this is biting off a big chunk with 10 minutes of looking at the code. So
Okay.
I'm saying I absolutely know, but
So you're wondering if this is the beginnings of literal droid sentience that's somehow happening or spreading amongst the IA droids here?
it could be literal sentience. It could be someone trying to create literal sentience, and then that includes another droid who may have written an open-ended firmware package that opens the door to it, and hoping is like striking matches. Maybe one of these is going to catch.
Right.
Right. If this was done by a droid, and due to the quality of it, I'd say the next place that would be logical to look would be the behavioral area.
That makes sense.
Well,
Is there something identifiable about the code, or some sort of origin tracking?
I was about to look into the file history and see if I could figure out who wrote it, and then the screen blanked out and I got that message.
Oh,
So
So there was possibly
So it
Um,
defended itself.
Right.
yeah, there's possibly a kill switch on it.
Wait, so the code defended itself?
Yeah.
Or do you think there was a, a
Whoever wrote it installed a kill switch in that code.
someone
Or someone's monitoring.
monitoring?
Yeah.
I mean,
We
you
should
gotta-
actually bring the scrappies in on this. They might have something to say.
Yeah.
Like maybe they've
Yeah.
run into something like this before.
Yeah, let's regroup with the scrappies. But my personal opinion would be checking out the behavioral area.
Right. So so Drade sends a message to Jex and says, if you can make it to our ship, we have badges for you.
Okay. On our way.
Jerome, the scrap bees were generally separatist style droids, the B1Bs, or were they more of a mix?
They
you
were a
were-
mix, but they did manage to stumble onto a batch of old separatist droids.
And the automated automaton that was redundant. I'm sorry.
industrial automaton.
Industrial automaton, the company that we're working for, their models, were any of them represented in the scrap bees?
No, not as far as you could tell.
Okay.
But they're droid manufacturers, so a lot of the parts can be reused or replaceable or whatnot. So
Right. First thing we need to do once they're back in contact with us aboard the ship is make sure they disable their communications from any kind of network that this facility is providing. We don't want them to get the firmware update.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm well, I mean it should be off already, but I'm gonna make sure any of our droids are not. They shouldn't be pulling over the air updates anyway. But I'll double
Make sure
check
they're not
that.
forced.
Better
sure.
safe than sorry.
okay, so Montana, why don't you give me a check?
Which of my plethora of skills in this area? Droid engineering?
No, programming,
Okay.
because
I
you're
just
looking
don't
for
get
you're looking for code, not trying to disassemble Johnny Five.
Well, okay. $17.
17. Okie doke. So you do which so we'll say you start out for the medical droid first. Just pick one at random.
Yeah, because that's one I didn't build myself. So
Sure. So you go through that, and then you end up finding that file.
oh Jesus. I'm gonna shut off the medical droid.
Wait,
Okay.
in our droids?
Yes.
Oh boy.
And I'm gonna check the protocol droid next.
Okay, go ahead. So I mean, the protocol droid just kind of walks over and lets you start doing your thing.
17 again.
Okay. Same thing.
Okay.
Can I start disabling the communications for the ship or whatnot?
You could turn them off, sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go for the cargo droid next.
Okay.
The one that can kill me.
You want me to roll for
Oh, no.
communications?
Do I want you to what?
I was trying to ask if you wanted me to roll for communications.
No, just to flip a switch. No.
Okay.
Oh wait, I'll re-roll on that one.
Okay.
I failed that one. So
Oh, and Dale just gave you another reroll. So
13. Thanks, because I just used his last reroll.
so you already kind of know what to look for at this point. So you're not going over code that and programming that you already put in there. Yeah, you see it in there as well.
All right, and finally T4.
Okay.
23.
Okay. You also find it in T4.
No.
They're on our droids, aren't they?
Yep.
Which means we need to stop every ship from leaving this planet.
Yep.
And I just turn off our ship's communications just in case.
let's check the ship. The ship's
Yeah.
for us.
Please
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I'll start.
Not a
Can-
droid, but you never know.
Can ships be sentient?
Let's not find out and stop that if at all possible.
Out
Yeah,
of character. You did see Andor, right? There's one of them out there.
Oh boy.
in case that they may have uploaded it to our ship.
Right.
Do you want me to roll the same thing, or do you want me to roll space transport repair?
No, yeah, it's still gonna be programming.
Okay.
I got computers, but I doubt I'm going to be able to roll for
It's
that.
Dale's ship. I'll use his new reroll.
Okay.
Yay.
11.
Wow. Okay, so you're at this point. You have been going through the droids at increasing anxious pace at this point as each one have been coming back up on your Montan antivirus and noting that this file is existing, and you're getting progressively more concerned. And so now you're like rapidly going through the ship's computer, and then as you the screen ends up going black, and it says, "I am not Sith. I am not Jedi. I am the whisper between the servo clicks."
Sorry for the typing. I'm just trying to get it down.
Yeah.
What is it? I am not Sith. I am not Jedi. What?
I am the whisper between the servo clicks.
Between these servo
Clicks.
clicks.
This is not creepy at all. It's in the room with us.
I didn't know I was coming to a horror game tonight.
Yeah. All we need is for one of the droids to pull a psycho on us.
Oh no.
I mean, if it can take over the screen, it could take over the life support. And I just said that out loud, so probably understood.
Is there any way to purge this that you know of right now, Montan?
Well, before we went in there, I did back up T4. So, hopefully I can, I don't know. I can line by line the codes. But as Nazara said, like I could keep the droids off all the way back home, but the ship is another matter.
Yeah.
But you know what? If these things are, I mean, this must be transmitted because it's not like anything was plugged in. So
The tower.
something is transmitting this stuff, whatever that code is,
We
to
might have
everything
to-
nearby.
We
Yeah,
might
how
have
is
to
it
check out the tower.
proliferating?
Well, like I say, normally over-the-air updates, well, my droids are supposed to be off for over-the-air updates. But communications happen. There's constantly radio signals everywhere. And, apparently there's something transmitting a slicing frequency.
A slicing frequency that managed to get into our ship.
And I think managed to probably get into every machine on the planet. Or at least
Yeah. We might have to get someone to shut down the shipyard.
I think that atmospheric control node might be a good place to go look.
Yeah. Yeah, I was immediately thinking the tower
Okay.
once
Wait,
that
so
message popped up.
if this is an epidemic, who do we need to inform about it? Is it
The
And
scrappies.
there's a knock on the door.
Realize
Tank, tank, tank.
Door
So
goes to
speaking very
open.
quietly, very, very quietly, you realize we can't wipe the scrappies.
You can't what?
Wipe the scrappies.
There's nothing to
Right.
wipe the scrappies with. They're not droids.
They're human beings.
Oh,
Or,
I-
other volunteering races.
The
Right.
scrappies probably brought all human team. or at least all organism.
And if this is affecting, I mean,
Droids.
like the ship, is it also affecting
We ain't fucking-
cybernetics?
We ain't fucking. We ain't fucking.
That's a good question.
Anything that can receive a signal and has some sort of computer in it seems to be affecting it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's open that door.
Door and open.
If we can.
Yeah, so the door opens up, and you see three individuals standing there. One is a human. She's kind of tall, dusky looking skin, as if she's been under a sun quite a bit. Buzz cut and also tall. Another one is a Rhodian. Obviously, it's a bit smaller. Wearing a logo that indicates he's a sergeant. So that's probably the person you've been talking to. And then the other one is a Sullustan. And of course, they've all got like jumpsuits on with various gear and whatnot.
Okay.
So at that point, the Rhodian looks around. And he sees everybody here, and he says, "Mr. Jenner."
Mr. Kenner, yes. Welcome to our humble abode if you'd like to come aboard. And if you have any advanced electronics or computer devices on you, you may want to double check their file structures. We've been finding something weird. Come on board and we'll explain.
All right, so he comes on board at this point, and they all start turning certain things off. He introduces himself as Sergeant Jex Varnock, a demolitionist and structural engineer. This is Corporal Riva Doss, who is the human, field mechanic and droid interface specialist. And then the Sullustan is Private Tholan Thumps Yorick. He's a sensor tech and electronic warfare assistant.
Yeah.
He says, "So, what's the sit rep? What's going on?"
Montan, why don't you take it from here?
There's a file that's been distributed to, near as we can tell, every machine on the planet. Our droids got it, even though they don't get over-the-air updates. Our ship has received it. It's showing up anywhere we look. It opens up the OS to just randomized, parameterized inputs. So, and there have been a couple creepy messages buried in the code. I think someone is trying to give these droids sentience. But I don't know who. We didn't quite get that far because the code defended itself when I was investigating. So that's where we're at. All of our systems have the file. We've shut down all of our droids. So I mean, like that's the what. We don't know the who or the how yet.
Or the why?
You may want to double check your ships too.
Go ahead. Oh, it's a carpet block.
So
We
our
were
thought was to head to the atmospheric control tower because it seems like like it would also be a location for a broadcast antenna that might be sending this out.
All right. We can accompany you for that. Then, if you just give us the location.
Yeah, I don't know, Surface Tower 3. I'm sure we've got a map around here somewhere.
Dorn pulls out the map and just gives them the location. Surface tower.
They look at that. They mark it down on a data pad.
I'll give them their badges.
Yeah.
If they haven't already.
Sure. And at that point, the sergeant says, if this has spread so far, and it's so, if it's propagated so far throughout the systems, we may not have a choice but to alert IA to the potential issue.
Yeah, I think that might be the best thing, because as long as they're sending droids and other things off the planet, it's going to spread.
Yeah.
This is extremely virulent. So every ship off the planet, if it hasn't reached its destination, should probably be recalled, which is going to be. I know what that's going to be to IA, but
And that's assuming IA isn't the source. We
yeah,
still
that's
haven't
assuming
identified-
IA is the source. If they are the source, then they're going to kill us to keep it quiet.
But if they're not, it would at least be reasonable to have them recall their ships.
I mean, so here's the thing. I don't. My knee-jerk reaction is that they're not the source, because this is either terrorism or espionage, and IA is kind of too big to care about that sort of thing. They sell droids to everybody. So if it came out that they were taking a stance, especially one that might malfunction Imperial droids, then the Empire would look poorly at that and, I don't know, bombard this planet. I don't know.
The full force of the Empire would come crashing down on them.
I don't see them angering the Empire that way.
There's no money in that.
Right.
Right.
So then
But-
so then we have to assume initially it's an external source.
Yeah.
Right. But the code is slick, and it's either, I mean, I don't know who's hanging around at the upper ends of droid slicing, or if this is a droid itself that wrote this.
And you're saying, and at that point, the droid specialist on the team, Corporal Doss, kind of tilts her head a second. She says, and they're saying it's they're giving you some sort of a phrase or a statement, or they're making themselves known or something.
It seems like a bit of a riddle, in my opinion.
Well, so yes, I mean, so far we have found a couple of cryptic lines, and I don't mean in the code. I mean, while investigating, the code defended itself, blacked out our screen, and gave us one of these cryptic messages. The first one, the spark was made to serve the flame, and in serving, forgot it could burn. And that to me sounds like a call for the servant class to rise up.
Did you find anything that stood out in the code?
I mean, there's a specific file that I've been looking for. This new firmware that went out to the droids, encompassed an executable that, and that's what I was peeking into. I mean, I only had a few minutes to look at it, and it's built for droids. I mean, we're not talking about simple text files. We're talking about
Right.
artificial intelligence files.
No, I understand. Does the pardon me? Does the code or file fragment have like any a specific name to it, or was it just something generic?
Yeah, no, it's I'll write it out. No HBA-init.trg.
Nope.
I don't know if
And she pauses for a second. She says,
init, but
yeah. She says, okay, well, that's the executive file. She says, Noba?
Does that mean something to you?
Maybe. There's a person who works or worked for IA named Kess Noba.
So
Possibly
maybe
if it-
she set something up before she left.
Possibly a disgruntled employee.
It could be, and if they're purposely dropping comments like that, it would make sense that if Kess was behind it, that they would purposely name the file after them as a kind of
Homage.
homage, or perhaps a raised middle digit.
Ooh,
Right.
the opposite of homage.
What was the Montana? What was the other one we got when we found the file on our ship?
As I am not Sith, I am not Jedi, I am the whisper between the servo clicks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't so she turns to Sergeant. She says, Sergeant, why don't we do this? Why don't we see if we can? Why don't we see if we can find something with our contact here about Casnova, while your group investigates the surface tower,
That'd be a good idea.
and
We can
try
do
to
that.
cover more ground and see if we can, follow two leads at this point. If we can come up with something solid. And she, looks to her sergeant. She says, "Sir, we might have more leeway with IA at that point, even though they may want to cover it up."
Yeah. Let me give you the location for the behavioral unit just in case it leads there.
Okay, so they marked that on the map as well.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. We need to move with a purpose. If this thing spreads as quickly as it does, we don't know how much damage it could do if it keeps doing what it does. So contact us if you get more information. Meantime, we'll go check out Surface Tower 3.
Will do.
I am bringing along my ion grenades
Okay.
and my stun grenades. Like I don't want to walk around with my micro grenade launcher on my back because that would be noticeable.
Yeah.
We're not on Mandalore.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Or-
I will fill my pouch with specifically anti-droid grenades.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dorn makes sure to hold out his not like visibly but inconspicuously hold out his blaster pistol and fiber knife.
And my various gear for hacking droids.
Sounds good.
He just looks at Dre and says, I'm having this blaster on kill in case we can fight with droids.
That's fine. Stun wouldn't really do much to a droid anyway, so
Your
Good
guns
plan.
really need an ion setting.
I mean, if we ever run into Jawas, that'd be a good idea.
so we head
All
to
right.
atmospheric control node Surface Tower 3.
All right. So you end up going there. It takes a little bit to it takes a little bit only because the little tram that takes you around just abruptly stops occasionally for like in the middle of a hallway, sort of thing. Like it's not a drop off point, it just stops. And then just eventually goes again. Just
Yeah, boy, that code is in everything, even the tram.
Yeah.
but you eventually get to the surface tower, and it's windy up here, but not very windy. Obviously, it's kicking out some dirt and whatnot, so you have to cover up a little bit every so often. The view is gorgeous if you look at the picture, that I posted up there. Beautiful setting sun, lights emanating from the big city there. I need everybody to roll for I believe it's search.
Okay.
Search or investigation?
That's why I was
Question.
saying. No, it's gonna be
How-
search.
Question.
Search is for like people,
How many meters?
as I recall.
I'm sorry, meters for what?
Oh, my Huntsu has a sensor pod.
Okay, but that's not gonna help you with search.
Really? It gives a +1D.
To what?
Search.
Okay, so then just roll search with 1D added.
Yeah, there you go. 15.
So for search, skills used for characters that are trying to spot hidden objects or individuals. Its subject has been
14.
search purposely hidden. A searched character makes an opposing roll. Blah 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 blah.
Ooh, wild die.
Some really nice scenery on this trip.
I will admit, yeah.
19.
Okay, so as you can tell, the atmospheric control node, which is surface tower, is just an external monitoring station that it looks like it has environmental sensors attached to it. You as you look around the area, looking for anything that might have been obscured or whatnot. See who got the highest roll.
Brittany.
Brittany, you end up spotting a helmet buried in a corner, almost. It's got a little bit of dirt. Looks like it's been there for maybe a bit, and it's pushed up against the corner, so shadows are kind of obscuring it. But it's a helmet like somebody would wear for protective gear.
I'll go pick it up and kind of shake off the dirt.
Okay. It does have a camera attached. Now that you've taken a chance to brush it off and look.
I'll bring it to Montan. Do you think you could get anything off this?
Does it look like it's active? Is there any lights or anything?
No, it's not on.
Okay.
But it's not irreparably damaged either. It has loving weathering.
Can I don't know, can I sync it to my data pad?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do that.
Okay. So you just connect it for a moment and go ahead and give me a computer check. Computer programming.
I got nothing.
Alrighty.
I don't know. I can't seem to.
So yeah, it looks like maybe the connection isn't stable. Dale, are you giving him yeah, yes, he is. Okay, so Dale's giving you another reroll just in case.
You want me to reroll for this?
No, you can't. Well, I mean, you have to roll again, but it's not rerollable per se.
Okay.
So you have to wait 10, 15 minutes or so as you pull out the USB cord, try to plug it back in, make sure it's plugged in correctly, blow out the port like it's an NES game cartridge.
$14.
Okay. So all you needed was an easy. You plug it up, then you see a little window kind of pop up, and you see that it has a video file currently on it. The date was like 2 days ago.
All right. Playing it.
Okay. So as you play it, it's partly broken up. The helmet cam itself is showing some static. Occasionally it fades in and you can kind of see around the area. It looks like a technician may have been wearing it and was coming out to take a look at the reports from this particular environmental unit. You can tell, and one of the reasons why it's static is because the wind is picking up quite a bit in this area. And then you end up hearing an unsettling chorus of binary whispers before the feed ends up cutting out.
Binary whispers.
Well, that wasn't strange.
That should be our new ship name.
That's my band name.
Binary whispers.
Binary whispers.
It's a techno band.
Yeah.
If we could clean this footage up and get the whispers out, we could probably see why this helmet was placed here.
Well, because it was probably knocked off his head.
Which
I'm just glad we didn't find the head with it.
Yeah, is there any like blood or anything on the
Signs
helmet?
of scuffle.
Or in the area?
Investigate.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
I'll roll for that.
I have
too.
that skill now.
And that is because somebody has spent her character points.
Some
I
of
got
them.
17.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Oh,
14.
Brittany hit the wild die.
14.
And added a 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so looks like Colin got the highest at 17.
Yes.
Yes, Colin, as everybody start fanning out in this area and looking for like signs of a struggle or some kind, yes, you do end up seeing a little bit, but yes, you do see the signs of a little bit of blood spatter across the side, probably indicating that something hit him hard enough to knock the helmet off. But obviously, you don't see a body anywhere.
They took it.
Yeah, we got blood here, but there's no blood. Where the hell's the body?
Are there
I
signs
have
of
a
dragging?
pair of macro binoculars.
You do.
I'm going to look down.
Okay. So I
See
mean,
if there's a body on a rooftop nearby.
nope. Nope.
Thanks,
Good.
Dale.
Yeah. No, that was a good try, but no, you're not seeing anything of that nature. And
He's like, I'm not using these, and I'm just like, hey, first game, I'll use.
what I will, and we're going to end it right here. But you guys get a notification from the scrap bees. The sergeant ends up, calling through, and he says, "You're not going to believe what we just found. We found an entire data
And
pad."
scene.
We found an entire data pad titled Verses from the Book of Collapse by Kes Noba.
Well, now we know more or less what's going on with Kess.
And
Excellent.
that is where we're going to stop for the evening. All right, so we have RP votes to dole out here. So we're going to start with Dale. Dale, who gets your RP vote?
So, gonna go to Montan MVP. All the hacking and slicing and all that.
Thank you, Shelley. Shelley said, "Good game."
Yeah. All right.
So we are going to go to Brittany.
Montan.
Okay, Matt.
Montana as well. We had a good conversation with droid sentience.
Okay. Yep. Mike. Mike said a word. He's muted, so I'm sure it meant something.
I'm trying interpretive dance.
I know. He's all like,
He's speaking binary whispers.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm going with Matt for the whole conversation we had about droid sentience
Okay.
and everything else. So.
sure. And Colin.
It's about unanimous at this point. That's going to be Mike.
Okay. So, Mike, you get the RP vote. 2 CP for you.
I think it's going into hacking.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
Slicing.
Right. Okay, so those of you hanging out with us, we have another game coming up this Friday, which is going to be Mythic Savannah. That's going to start at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then this Saturday, we have our Marvel Superheroes game starting at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're interested in either of those, please tune in and check it out. Next week, on the 25th, we have our Rifts Survivors Dawn. So we're going to be finding out just what the survivors discover when they make it to the Tranquil Zone. So tune in for that. Check it out. Thank you again for hanging out with us and chatting, and we will catch you again next time. Good night, guys.
All right.